We ask all candidates to arrive about 30 minutes early just to facilitate the registration process. They'll be asked to present their 2 forms of identification, and then they will be asked what exam that they're there for, because we like to verify it, and they'll be asked this several times throughout the day. Now yours is easy because we're only doing 1 exam, but when we do multiple exams for different clients, it's amazing how you can ask the person the same thing over and over and over again, and then they sit down to take the exam and say, oh, that's not what I wanted. But yours is easy. They'll have a roster that they need to sign in. That roster, that signature is compared against the 2 signature IDs that they present. If there's any question as to who the person is on a visual or the signatures don't match, then there's proper procedure to be handled by the test administrator, who could possibly dismiss them. It happens in very rare events. But make sure that they have kind of current signature ID, not your social security card that you signed when you were 14. They will be provided an examination protocol statement, and this is critical to the process in the exam. And this explains what their behavior, their expected behavior is in the test center. Where we see the largest number of abuses of this protocol statement are with the bio breaks. Okay? Everyone needs to get up and use the restroom. That's cool. That's not a problem. But when they leave that test center, they have to go to the restroom and come back. That doesn't mean to go downstairs, have a cigarette, go walk up and down the hall. You know, I need a breath of fresh air. We will stop your exam. That's a security violation. Talk on a cell phone, as Gus pointed out, and go to my car. Cannot be done. And that's what this explains to them. And we still get, well, I didn't realize that. They are signing that, saying that they understand that they're not to take anything in there that's not authorized to be taken into the testing room, that when they take a bio break, it's only to the restroom and back. The procedure for doing that, we only let 1 out at a time. Raise your hand, just like elementary school. 1 in and out of the room at a time. Okay? So please, please, please pound that into their heads. There is no leaving that test facility. They will have all of their materials for the open book exam that will be reviewed by the test administrator, making sure that there's not any markings in there that shouldn't be, etc. And then they will place all non-test related items in a locker, and they'll be given a key for that. We encourage people not to bring things to the test site, but you know, you've got your cell phone with you or whatever. You'll be given a locker with a key that's yours and yours alone. If you need to take medicine at a certain time, that medicine will be in there. You'll be allowed to get that medicine out, but you will not be allowed to get your cell phone out. Okay, those are the kind of things that we do. Then the candidate will be escorted by the test administrator into the examination room. At no time is a candidate, other than to go on their bio breaks, are they left alone. They're always escorted into the room. They are seated then at a particular assigned station, and the examination is what we call unlocked. At that point, it becomes unencrypted. We verify once again who the candidate is, what exam that they're there to take, and then we go through a second protocol statement with them. And this is one that says, I will not leave this room with any of the test material. I will not share my knowledge of this exam with anyone under penalty of perjury. They have to say, okay. If they don't say okay, we don't let them test. And we've had several instances where people will say no, and it comes up almost in red flashing letters, are you sure? And they'll say, yes, I'm sure, and then they're kicked out of the exam. They will not test that day. Now, out of the kindness of my heart, if I feel that they honestly made a mistake, I will retest them at no charge. But I don't know what more we can do to get people to understand that they need to agree to that statement. The test administrator will then explain the length of the exam. They'll show where the clock is located, because every computer has a clock on it, so they're able to watch their time. They are provided with a 15-minute tutorial which walks them through, and I encourage every candidate to do that, just to calm themselves down, to walk through how the exam the computer works. How do I go backwards? How do I mark a question if I want to go back and review it? How do I end an exam? All of those pieces. It's very, very important that the candidate calms themselves, and that 15 minutes is very, very well spent, so I encourage everyone to do that. And then at the end of the exam, there's a 15-minute survey that usually doesn't take that long. It's what we call our candidate satisfaction survey, and I'm going to show you the results of that shortly. And that just basically asks them, how are we doing? What's your experience with us as a company? And it allows us then to make improvements where we may need to make improvements. Again, I've stressed bio breaks. I'm not going to pound it in again. Just make sure they understand the protocols around bio breaks. Once the candidate completes their exam, they need to raise their hand to let the test administrator know that they are done. The test administrator will come in, escort them from the examination center. Their reference material will be reviewed once again for any extraneous markings, and immediately the candidate will be handed a score report. The score report is a photo score report. We do take their photo at the test site. It is on high security paper, so if they try to reproduce that paper, it marks void everywhere. But it's a fairly nice little feature, and they'll be told whether they pass or fail at that moment in time. In Florida, you're very unique in the state of Florida in that you allow review of your exams. The review process works just like the examination process. Everything is online. The candidate must call, they must make a reservation, they're given 1/2 of the total testing time. The only questions that are displayed to them are those that they missed with the correct answers. They also have the opportunity online to write their challenge. And then we run a challenge report for the department every 2 to 3 days each week so that they get that information. After a candidate fails the exam and or has a review, they must wait 21 days in order to take their exam again. This gives you just an idea of where we are in the state of Florida with our survey questions. We asked, how was the examination process? Was it easy to use? Was the test center easy to locate? We're always running low on that number. 95% seems to be our average, and I've gone through and looked at directions and map questions, and I don't know what more I can do, but 95%. Testing environment was clean, quiet, and comfortable. The test center staff was helpful and knowledgeable. The testing system was easy to use. The testing center registration check-in process was handled efficiently. The testing system worked well, and overall, I was satisfied with my experience. I was able to schedule an acceptable test date and test center location. So overall, the candidates in the state of Florida are very, very happy with the process. When we ran the pilot, we were overwhelmed by the number of responses. We were able to accommodate in a 10-day period of time 317 candidates, which is phenomenal when you think that we run all of DBPR, all of DFS, all of Department of Education through our test centers. The nice thing about CBT testing is when we see our test sites getting full, we can expand our hours of operation very, very quickly. We can also compress them as we need to. So we will continue to monitor this exam, monitor everyone's ability to get in there and test when they want to.